And good morning, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Courtney Yockey, and I am with the FNAM Regional Growth Alliance, and here today representing the Business Navigator Alliance of South Central and Southeastern Illinois. We have a great presentation stored for you. Today, we'll cover services and programs that may assist you in starting or growing your business, made available through the Small Business Development Centers and the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. We have two experts to guide us through these potential resources. First will be Dawn Elmer. Dawn is a certified business development advisor for the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Champaign County EDC. Dawn will explain how SBDCs work with businesses and how SBDCs work with businesses in all stages of development by offering business information and support. Then we'll hear from Kayla Lambert, the Southeast Regional Manager in the Office of Regional Economic Development for the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Kayla will address business support offered towards businesses or business development, which includes funding opportunities, job creation support, and tax-based incentives. To get started, what is the Business Navigator Alliance of South Central and Southeastern Illinois? We are a 6-county regional collaboration working through a small business community navigator grant. The team is comprised of Angela Griffin from Coals Together, Lori Miner from Sullivan, Illinois Chamber and Economic Development, Risa Schranick from the Crawford County Development Association, Nora Swalls from the Marshall Area Chamber of Commerce, Bob Colvin and Freddie Schmidt from the Paris Economic Development Corporation, and myself, Courtney Yockey, with the FNAM Regional Growth Alliance. This group is charged with professional outreach and technical assistance for local, state, and federal programs. Our mission is to ensure that small businesses in our area are competitive and applying for necessary resources. And our goal is to position you for success by accelerating business recovery and growth. See the map on the side of your screen for where the Business Navigator Alliance is located. Today's webinar is the second in a series of webinars we intend to host each month for the first half of 2022. These webinars are scheduled for the last Thursday of each month, so please mark your calendars. Visit www.ilbusinessnavigators.com, that's navigators with an S, and sign up for our newsletter to stay informed. We also host various outreach events, office hours, and offer one-on-one technical assistance. Again, ilbusinessnavigators.com to learn more. And we'll also post a recording from today's presentation and additional supportive materials on the website as well. To start us out for our presentation today, we're going to hear from Dawn Elmer for the SBDC. Dawn brings many years of experience in consulting, executive, and managerial roles to his position as director of the Small Business Development Center. Those experiences have taken him into a variety of industries, including computer assisted instruction, networking products, scientific instruments, software development, and publishing. He also co-owns a small retail business in Champaign, so he has firsthand experience with the issues faced by many small business owners and aspiring entrepreneurs. Dawn provides help in a number of areas under the heading Business Consulting, including startup assistance, business plan development, financing, marketing strategy, and more. And with that, Dawn, thank you for coming today, and the presentation is all yours.
All right, thank you. So you see the respective logos there. Courtney, if you want to go to the next one. Okay, so a little bit of the acronyms. We always have acronyms. So our center also has an international trade center run by Marielle Wasanga. She is very, very good, and our ITC is very highly regarded in the state. If your business involves importing or exporting international trade of any kind, you definitely want to be talking to Marielle. I put the SBA and DCEO up here just because we have relationships through them. The funding from the government side actually comes from the SBA through the State Department of Commerce. And then we also have a procurement technical assistance center that we work with. This one is actually out of Bradley. And the PTAC works in two different ways. The first is that it helps businesses that are eligible to be certified, such as a minority-owned business, woman-owned business, veteran-owned business, or veteran-owned business, etc. Helps them get certified. That process is not trivial. And then the next step is, well, what can you do with that once you're certified? So access to, bid opportunities, other places that you can get business, and potentially some, financing advantages, grant opportunities, etc. So those are the acronyms we work with on a daily basis, plus numerous others you don't need to know about. All right, next, please, Courtney. I just covered this, and then we did a Starting Your Business in Illinois webinar this morning. And so this is kind of the standard slide that lists the services that we provide. The general description is one-on-one, confidential, no-cost business advising. That's a little bit too general, but we can start with feasibility studies and business plans, looking at your business model, determining whether you have something viable to begin with, and kind of taking it from there. We help with access to financing a lot anyway, but this is in bold right now because over the last 2 years, with all the COVID-19 relief programs, state and federal and local that were going on, we did a lot more in that area and doubled or tripled the number of webinars we typically do in a year, just to make sure people were getting that information. As you may know, my host, the Champaign County EDC, is also a hub in the Community Navigator program. And so for now, the Back to Business program, we've been heavily involved in that. International trade and export assistance I already covered, and also PTAC I covered. Business education and training, as I sort of referred to in the financing, we typically do about 100 webinars or seminars or workshops if they're live a year. We did 200 plus last year, and more than that, I think 300 some in 2020. And the additional ones were all covering, financial assistance programs that were available because of the pandemic. We say that we could have some specialization in tech and innovation, or that's really just because of my private sector background. Courtney laid out some of that, but computer hardware, software, a lot of innovative products and things like that. I've worked with a lot of clients in those areas, even as a private consultant. But this is not, to the exception of anything else. We also have lots of barbershops, salons, food trucks, restaurants, retail businesses, all kinds of clients. And then I always point out that a really important part of what we do is to help businesses, especially new businesses, build out their network of professional providers, whether it's attorneys, accountants, insurance agents, commercial real estate agents, more marketing help for their website, et cetera, whatever else they may need. Okay, next, please, Courtney. This is the sort of unofficial area that we serve. I think in my grant documents, I said 13 counties, but I actually drew them out here, and I think it's more like 18. The little white dots show you the closest other SBDCs around us. We're obviously based in Champaign County, but you can see we cover a pretty wide area, and I have some clients in Chicago. I have a smattering of clients all over the state, but that's the core area that we serve. And so in that area, I pulled, just to give you an example, our 2021 metrics that we report to the state. So I don't have to list them all here, but the 215 new clients for 2021 is actually a little bit lower than the average. Since I've been here in 2015, it's averaged about 300. So you can put that on the pandemic, maybe a few more or a few fewer businesses were starting. but we create or support a lot of jobs. So 362 created or retained, but almost 2,400 jobs supported across across all our client businesses. About $4.5 million in capital infusion. Most of that in the last year was because of the COVID-19 relief funding. A lot of training sessions, a lot of advising hours, helped a lot of businesses get started. And other than that capital infusion, which is a little bit high, the rest of these numbers represent a pretty typical year. So next, please, Courtney.
Hey, Don, can I ask a quick question? 215 new clients and a little below the average, but with the 49 business starts, did you see more business starts as a result of the pandemic, or is that about average?
That could be slightly low, but not much. Seems to me, this is just going from memory, but
Yes.
seems like in the 50s or 60s seems a little bit more common. So not too much lower, if it's lower.
So a little muted across the board.
Maybe. Really here, it's more just the number of new clients was the only one that I noted seemed to be, statistically kind of different.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And here's a little bit more about our International Trade Center. As I said, Marielle is really, really sharp. She's also very multilingual. She speaks Spanish, French, Mandarin, and I think Italian and Portuguese, but she's Peruvian, and she's just absolutely brilliant. We also run the program called Export Tech, which is a certification program for businesses that do international business. It's the only one of its kind in the state. There used to be one in Chicago, but the organization that presented it dropped it. It's been very successful so far. I think we're going to have our second, maybe third cohort coming up here fairly soon. But I can give you an example of the kind of things that that Marielle works on with businesses. So export readiness, if it's something that's new for you, whether you're a new business or not. But business planning, market intelligence, which is really, really important. We will get frequently businesses that say, hey, I'm going to have a customer in Brazil. And it's very important that if they're going to invest the time into doing all the, taking all the steps they need to do to have a client in Brazil, they should study Brazil and see, okay, if we're set up there to do business, we should do some marketing and see if we can pick up some other business. Supply chain management and some of the other things here. Export compliance, that's something that the Export Tech program covers in quite a bit of detail, but she covers the full range of services for businesses that export, and she's very, very good. Here's some of her metrics: jobs that were retained, new clients. Now, the International Trade Center doesn't have the volume of clients that our SBDC does because, not as many businesses are involved with international trade. She had her own schedule of training sessions, and her client businesses reported almost $14 million in export sales. Okay, next. Thanks. There's just a little bit, some links here that you can go to. There's our SBDC website. We also have and run a website called Bridge, which I call an entrepreneurial ecosystem. And we recently partnered with a company called Startup Space to really expand what that can offer. So if you're looking for resources for providers for your business, you want to see stories about new businesses, you can sign up there. It doesn't cost anything to do it. You'll get access to about 7 or 8 calendars for organizations like us, the Chamber, the Regional Planning Commission, the Champaign Library, the University of Illinois Research Park, that all present events that are very, very helpful to small businesses. It's a great site, and I encourage you to check it out. There are all our social media links for the SBDC. And do we have another one, Courtney? If you go on, or are we done? Oh, okay. Contact slide. So yeah, there's my contact email, and also for Marielle, if you have international trade questions or businesses that want some help with that. And there's our link to our website and all the information that you can find there. Anyway, thanks for the time. And I guess, do we do questions now, Courtney, or go on with Kayla?
Yeah, typically we hold questions towards the end, but being that there's just two presenters today on the panel, I think we could go ahead and take some questions. I've got a few here, but first and foremost, great presentation. Thank you for providing information about the SBDC and not just the SBDC, but the International Trade Center as well. So most certainly you guys can help out with anybody wanting to do something domestic or international. One of the questions that's burning in my mind, and I think you can anticipate I'm going to ask this, is that, there's the SBDC and then there's the SCORE. And SCORE is definitely a wonderful resource as well, a mentoring resource. And just, what is the difference between the two? What is the separation between SCORE and SBDC?
Okay, well, the interesting thing is those are both organizations that are supported at the national level by the SBA. But the main difference is SCORE chapters are made up of volunteers. And so they will typically have volunteers with either business ownership or strong business experience in certain sectors. And the intake process for SCORE, as I understand it, involves just sort of assigning you to one of these SCORE mentors, versus with the SBDC, we're all paid, it's all full time, this is what we do. And I think the individual advisors probably in general offer a wider range of services per advisor than the SCORE mentors do, because my understanding, at least with the chapters I know, they tend to be specialized in certain areas, which can be extremely helpful if they have industry experience. But that's kind of the difference.
Awesome. So definitely both wonderful resources used, just depends on what your situation is and what you're trying to do.
Yeah, and we have no problem whatsoever working with people who've also worked with SCORE. I like people to have access to whatever resources they can find, and rather have them working with more information that might sometimes be duplicate than not enough, for sure.
Awesome. And then how does somebody get started working with the SBDC? What do you need to do to get that assistance?
All you need to do is go to our website. We have buttons called Become a Client that are all over the website, and you click it, you fill a little form out. Once you send it in, we follow up with you very quickly and get set up that way. Awesome. We also, on occasion, people will just email us at our info address, and then we'll provide that information. But it's really easy. It's just to go to our website and click Become a Client.
Awesome. I know it's a very easy process. I know that I've partnered with you in the past and working with entrepreneurs and small businesses, and it's definitely very welcome to have you as a resource. Speaking of these services and the training that's provided and offered, are there any charge to this?
Not for anything. In fact, we even use some third-party professionals that conduct other workshops and webinars that we don't conduct, and we pay them for their services, but the attendees don't ever get charged for those. In some occasions, like the Export Tech program that I mentioned that Marielle runs for companies that export, there is a charge for that, but most by far have no charge whatsoever.
And that was going to be my follow-up to that. I mean, no charge for the SBDCs, but what about PTAC and the ITC? So
no, ITCs and PTACs are generally all at no charge to, there may be services that client businesses need for which there's an associated charge or fee or something, but it doesn't, not from us.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And if somebody was looking for more information, is there a one pager, or is there something where all this information is combined together, easy to find?
You can get a pretty good overview by going to our website, but we actually have hard copy stuff in our office lobby that is not very helpful right now. But best place right now, if you want to do it remotely and safely, is just go to our website.
Awesome. And on the IL Business Navigators website, we'll have a copy of this recording for the presentation. We'll have a copy of the slides for the presentation and any of the links. So we'll have the link to your website and the other places too. So to continue on, our next presenter is Kayla Lambert with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Kayla is a public servant, volunteer, and economic developer with over 20 years of public sector, private sector, and economic impact experience. She currently serves as Southeast Regional Economic Development Manager for the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. Prior to this role, she spent 12 years in municipal government administration, 6 of which were spent in economic development. Through her experience, she has served as airport, tourism, GATA, TIF, and enterprise zone administrator, driving local economic development efforts and assisting businesses with incentives to expand and create jobs. In her current role, she most enjoys identifying programs and incentives to assist local units of government and businesses thrive in Illinois. Kayla, are you ready to present?
I am, Courtney. Thank you for that introduction.
Thank you.
You can go ahead and turn to the next slide. All right. Today I'm going to talk about the Office of Regional Economic Development and how our office fits into the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. And then I'm going to share some information about some of our programs that are available to assist businesses, whether they're in a startup phase or an expansion phase, or they're just looking for locations possibly in Illinois. As you can see, there are a number of programs that are listed here today. I'm going to give my best shot at trying to give a high-level overview of the programs just to get an idea of what's available, but there are many more. Next slide. So the RED team, which Regional Economic Development stands for RED, you will find throughout the presentation, we really like our acronyms. So I will try to spell out what each of those mean as I talk about programs. But as you can see, the state is divided into 10 economic development regions. And as Courtney mentioned, I'm in the Southeast region. And there are 15 staff members that are divided throughout the state. The Southeast region is made up of 13 counties. And if you kind of start in the middle in this light green area with Marion County, the territory goes up to the Indiana border to Edgar County, and then down to Lawrence County. And we are one of 13 bureaus under the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. So we work very closely, in addition, with the OME office, which is the Office of Minority Economic Empowerment. And really our two offices are kind of charged with promoting the programs that the state has in all of those other bureaus. So some of those would be like workforce, business development, economic development, film, tourism. And, as Dawn alluded to, I refer many businesses to the Small Business Development Center network. So we work very close together. They're an excellent resource to help businesses, especially, if they're looking to, develop a business plan or market research and some of those things that Dawn talked about. Next. So not only are the regional staff members covering regions across the state, but we actually live and work and raise families in the regions that we represent. I've been in the Southeast region for all of my life. And I think that's important because each region within the state has a different set of challenges, have different industries that are key for development and have different opportunities for advancement. I work closely with businesses, Chamber of Commerce's, municipalities, economic development organizations, consultants, and just other stakeholders that may be involved in economic development. Go ahead and go to the next slide. So as I talked a little bit earlier about the Office of Minority Economic Empowerment, they really focus on providing minority, women, person with disabilities, and veteran-owned small businesses support and access to the opportunities and resources. You can go on to the next slide. They have specific programs that they have developed, or I should say initiatives that they participate in by their partnerships with coalitions and associations, and that are dedicated to serving those different business types that I had mentioned previously. They also host Online with OMI, which is a biweekly training and collaboration session for businesses. Like Team Red, they also provide technical assistance, and their office manages the OMI capital grants and the cannabis loan program. I'll talk about the OMI capital grants later on in the presentation. Next slide. So the first program that I want to talk about is the EDGE program, and that stands for Economic Development for a Growing Economy. This program provides an annual income tax credit based on the payroll withholding taxes of newly hired employees in Illinois. EDGE is one of the primary tools and one of the most popular tools to attract new companies to our state and ensure that expansion projects locate in Illinois, or new companies locate in Illinois. So you may be thinking, who is eligible for EDGE? The EDGE tax credit will define an applicant, and I'm not going to read that to you, but I will point out that it does exclude retail, retail food, health, and professional services as listed there. But many of the agreements that we participate in are for manufacturing, distribution, and office type positions, and also tourism services is an eligible industry. 3 very important eligibility considerations for this program that we're looking for is investment, job creation, and an out-of-state option. And when I say out-of-state option, the EDGE program is designed to level the playing field between states. So part of this application depends heavily on a company considering to expand or locate outside of Illinois. Now, we're certainly not encouraging anybody to look at other states for expansion, but the fact of the matter is, many companies do this daily when they're making decisions on where to invest. If a company, and this is very important, if a company has already signed a lease in Illinois or bought property in Illinois, for economic development, when they come, if they were to come to the state after the fact and ask for the EDGE tax credit as an incentive, the answer would be no, because they've already made a decision by those actions to locate in Illinois. So I'll go ahead and touch a little bit more on, the criteria that a new company is going to be looking at for jobs and investment to be eligible. So for the jobs and investment, a company that has more than 100 employees worldwide must invest at least $2 million and create the lesser of 50 jobs or 10% of their global workforce. So if they have 120 employees worldwide, they would only have to employ 12 people, new jobs, 12 new jobs, and invest $2.5 million, sorry. If a company has less than 100 worldwide employees, there's no minimum investment, and they must create the lesser of 50 jobs or 5% of their employee count. So if they have 80 jobs worldwide, the minimum number of employees that they would be required to hire would be 4. Next. When a company is approved for EDGE, they're eligible for 10 years of tax credits, and this is to be used against their Illinois income tax liability. So if a company doesn't have an Illinois income tax liability, this program probably isn't the best one for them. The standard credit is equal to 50% of the employee withholdings tax of newly hired employees and 10% of eligible training costs. That amount can go up to 75% if the project is located in an underserved area, and the map for that to determine is on DCEO's website. The tax credit can vary greatly though, depending on the number of new jobs that are created and the average wage of those employees. Lastly, I want to point out that a company cannot receive any more than their investment or income tax liability. However, this program does allow a 5-year carry forward on that tax credit. Next. The next program is actually a grant program for economic development. It's called Community Block Grant, or CDBG, for economic development. And this is meant to bridge the financial gap for businesses, and it can be used to purchase things such as new equipment. It can be used for new building construction or expansions. It can be used for working capital and infrastructure, to name a few. The application is ongoing because, as you can imagine, this is opportunity based. So, when a project arises and before it arises, this is when, the state wants to know about the project to determine eligibility. The eligible funding amount is based on job creation, as you can imagine. That's it's $25,000 for new jobs and $10,000 for retained jobs. There is a $1 million cap on this, and a company, after they make this investment, they must be either employing or retaining at least 51% persons with low to moderate income. If a business like the EDGE program, if the business is interested in a CDBG grant, they should make no action towards expansion or investment without approval for the program, because these grant funds need to demonstrate, or the application needs to demonstrate, that they would not happen but for this grant funding. Next.
Hey, Kayla, can I ask real quick for the
Sure.
CDBG, the economic development, what proportion of a project could be funded?
Generally, it could be, no more than 50%. But again, you do have to, maintain those job creation numbers.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So on the next slide, you're going to see the types of job industries or classifications that would be eligible. And I've listed them all here, but some of the most common applications that we see are going to be for manufacturing or transportation, warehouse, healthcare, and accommodation and food services. Next, I'll let you know about the restrictions. So it cannot be used to service or refinancing an existing debt. Nothing to do with marijuana. No assistance for professional sports teams, privately owned recreational facilities, gambling, gaming, or speculative purposes. Next. So next, with the Enterprise Zone program, this is another incentive that is available. It is a state program, but it is managed by local government entities. It's designed to spur investment and job creation in underserved communities. And I say underserved communities because in order to qualify for an Enterprise Zone, an application must demonstrate the need of the zone and labor market area for that zone. So with that said, there are 97 standard enterprise zones within the state of Illinois. They are listed on DCEO's website. If this is, if you're interested in knowing whether you're in a zone or near a zone, you could contact, your local municipality. They're probably, would know if you're in a zone or close to one, or you can just look on DCEO's website and find the closest one to you. Zones have a lifespan of 15 years once they are awarded, and they can be extended for another 10 years with DCEO approval. In addition, zones can be amended to add or delete territory, and this also requires DCEO's approval to do so. So the incentives of being within an enterprise zone can vary in size, but depending on your project, you can be eligible for a sales tax exemption of building materials for the building and construction materials that may be involved in an expansion or new construction. And you can also receive a 0.5% investment tax credit for investments in qualified property. Projects of larger scale can be eligible for a utility tax exemption and a sales tax on items consumed during the manufacturing process. And I still include that incentive because it's listed in the act, but a more recent incentive in the state of Illinois allows for eligible manufacturers to be exempt from sales tax for equipment and materials consumed during manufacturing with or without an enterprise zone. Next. The Blue Collars Job Act program is a newer program. It actually went live on January 1st of 2021, but it was immediately frozen for a period of time. But this program provides for a tax credit of 50% of withholdings taxes for construction workers involved in project development. This credit is available to projects with at least a $10 million investment, and they need to be located in a high impact business area, or a HIB, which is another zone we didn't talk about, an enterprise zone, a river's edge zone, or have been previously approved for EDGE. Next. Advantage Illinois is another great tool. It is a participating lending program. It provides additional access to capital by partnering with local banks to fund projects that may be startup, they maybe are under collateralized, or the applicants may not have acceptable credit. I especially find that I, am referring people to the Small Business Development Center when individuals are looking at this program and maybe they don't have a business plan set up yet, because they are working with banks, because that is the primary contact if you're wanting to participate in this program. This helps the borrower because it reduces their interest rate and maybe provides them an opportunity to get a loan that they otherwise would not be able to get. And it also helps the bank because the bank may not be able to fund the project because maybe the business is too risky, or it doesn't meet a credit score that they would typically fund, or the other reasons that may be under collateralized or something like that, and just not fall into the bank's normal lending practices. There is a list of banks that are currently participating. I think it's somewhere around 65 within Illinois. However, if you work already with a bank and they happen to not be on that list, we are happy to set up a meeting with the bank if they want to learn more about the Advantage Illinois program, and it's very easy to enroll to be a participating lender. We're actually expanding our network right now and really working hard to share the word about the Advantage Illinois program and get more banks on board. The main, to point out, there are two sides of the Advantage Illinois program. The standard program is where DCEO participates with the loan, the lesser of 25% of the project, or 55% of the loan, or 1.5 million. So, we're looking at potentially a $3 million loan in the standard. The interest rate of the DCEO portion of the loan is 2% less than the interest rate of the bank, but no less than 2%. So that would be the lowest floor. And whenever people are considering the Advantage Illinois program and what funding might be available to them, they should be creating at least one full-time job or retaining one full-time job for each 50,000 of DCEO funding. And next, I'll talk about the Fund for Advancement of Minority Enterprises, FAME, and that's on the next slide. FAME is a program that is specific to businesses that are minority owned, women, disabled, or veteran owned. And the rate for the DCEO portion is it's 2%. So it's not 2% below the bank. It is a flat 2% for DCEO's portion. And now the project participation increases. So instead of the 25 project participation, it's 50% of the project now. However, the lending maximum reduces to 400,000. So we're looking at, an $800,000 project. In this program, at least one full-time job must be created for each 65,000 of DCEO funding. And when I talk about the 400,000 participation, and that's the maximum, that's not the minimum. So this can be for smaller projects than 400,000 or 800,000. Next. So I'm going to switch gears a moment, and I'm going to talk about programs that are available for workforce and development. These are federal funds that pass through the state, and they're managed through local workforce innovation areas and their contractors and service providers. So like the Office of Regional Economic Development, the state is divided into workforce areas, and the Southeast region is wholly located in LWIA 23. And you can see at the bottom here, I've included their website if you want to learn more about their incentives, or I am happy to make introductions and schedule private meetings to talk about their incentive programs. The three main programs to keep in mind for the workforce programs is on-the-job training, and this is going to be for new employees, new eligible employees, and the training involved in that. Income worker training, and this is funding for existing workforce that may need upskilling for things like maybe you purchase new equipment, and so there's a number of employees that need to be trained on that equipment, and a trainer will be maybe brought in for that. Or there's been a new software purchase and the employees need to all be trained on this new software. Those would be great opportunities for someone to tap into income worker training. But I've seen other examples, and happy to set up meetings and see how it might be applicable to you. And I know Courtney is as well, and many of the others on this call have participated in those meetings. Lastly, the Youth Work Experience Program. This is a program, it's for youth ages 16 to 24. And it is a program that benefits both the business and that youth employee. So we're always looking for youth that want to participate in that program and businesses that are interested in being a work site. The youth worker is provided at no cost to the business. And then again, the youth is learning valuable tools to help further develop our employment pipeline. Next. So along the lines of workforce development tools, DCEO also has a program to reimburse businesses for expenses associated with training employees. And this is in the form of a tax credit. And this is called the Apprenticeship Educational Expense Program. Employees must be registered as an apprentice, and businesses are eligible to obtain a credit of up to $3,500 per apprentice, or if it's located in an underserved area, that can actually go up to $5,000. And you can see here some of the expenses might be tuition, book fees, lab fees, to name a few. Next. So the Research and Development Tax Credit is another tax credit that is available to companies that would be interested in this program, or, maybe you're already, have a budget for research and development. This is a non-refundable tax credit that's equal to 6.5% of qualifying research expenditures that exceed the baseline amount. And when I say baseline amount, that is the amount that a business has expended in previous years. So it would be an amount above that. Next. I want to talk briefly about the Angel Tax Credit Program. This program is an incentive that encourages investment in innovative early stage companies and helps them obtain working capital. And when I say this, I mean that the investors in these certified companies are eligible to receive a tax credit equal to 25% of their investment. So, this is really for that business to, certified as a qualified new business venture and, be attractive to other investors to invest in their business. This program maximum is $10 million each year, and it does run out. Each year. So it is highly subscribed, so much that there is a set aside for minority, women-owned businesses, and disability-owned business startups. And lastly, on the next slide, I want to talk about the minority-owned business capital grants that I mentioned earlier that are managed through the OMI office. These were last awarded, I believe, a couple of years ago. And so this is just information about those last awards that came out in the amount of $11 million. And I mention this because we're getting ready to see this opportunity come open again. And so this is just one of the examples of new opportunities that come out, especially in this last year. And if you have not already connected with myself or get this information from one of the members of the Community Navigator Network, please send me an email. I'd be happy to include you in my newsletter that I send out weekly. And this is just one of those opportunities that would come out in that newsletter, as well as regular DCEO programs when those application periods open. And then from time to time, it's going to provide information about programs that IDOT may be coming out with, or IDA, or EPA. So a lot of information that's available there. At this time, I would entertain any questions that folks may have. I will do my best to answer.
Awesome. A lot of wonderful information, a lot of programs that people can apply for. It just depends on what your situation is and what you're trying to do. With the mention of a lot of programs and great info that you just provided us. Obviously, there's going to be the recording of this webinar on our website, and we'll have a copy of the slides. But where can people find additional info on this? Do you have short one-pagers on the programs, or how do they learn more?
Well, unfortunately, there's not really a short one-pager. There are for each program, but I think I was talking to somebody earlier today, and prior to COVID, I think there was like 42 or 43 programs that DCEO has regularly. There's been some new ones created due to additional funding that's been available through various acts. But I can definitely provide more information about programs that are available. But as far as a one-pager, it would probably be way more than a one-pager. But our website is pretty good about laying out programs for businesses. Are you looking to expand, or are you looking for community development programs? So you can kind of click in there, or if you haven't learned anything from today's presentation, learn that there are a lot of programs out there, and really just reaching out to a regional team member or myself, and let us know of what you're thinking, what project you may be doing, and we can try to align the programs and incentives that would be available for that project.
Awesome, awesome. And a question did come in asking what is your email address, and by all means we can put that on our website and put the work with you to get some of these one pagers for the various programs where they're downloadable on the website as well. But real quick, you want to provide some contact information, Kayla?
Yes. So my email address is Kayla, K-A-L-A .Lambert, Lambert @illinois.gov. And my phone number is 217-836-8376.
Awesome, awesome. And so for the next question, are there any limitations on who can work with you, who can work with the Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity?
No, nope. As I kind of previously mentioned, we do work with businesses. We will work with, individuals who are looking to start up a business, depending on what their needs are. I may direct them to various departments. Or, if it's not something that DCEO manages, I'll definitely provide the information. Maybe it's IDA, as I had mentioned, Housing Development Authority. I will provide that information for the best contact. So if I don't have the information, I will definitely either find the information or try to find you a contact within state government.
Awesome, awesome. And you had noted earlier on some of the programs about not starting the project before applying for the program. And so can you give any emphasis on how a company begins with an incentive letter process with DCEO, or maybe what that time length may be?
Yeah, I always really encourage, a company, especially if they're already existing in Illinois, to talk to someone at the local level about what they're interested in doing, if it's, expanding or, locating their area. But I will say that a lot of times companies or businesses are reluctant to do that. They feel like that, at the local level, there's a lot of emotions. They really want them there, which is a good thing because, they'll let them know all the incentives that are available. But I know sometimes that doesn't happen. And so, if they don't go that route, where then that person, connects with myself or another regional team member, we can, they can contact me directly, or you can look on DCEO's website. There is a section there that will talk about, regional contacts for DCEO and the Office of Regional Economic Development. You can reach out to any of us and just basically, state you'd want to talk about a project. We're all happy to meet on it. We're going to want to learn more information about, investment, job creation, and what you're really looking to do and what your needs are. And that's where we would start developing an incentive overview and what opportunities are available.
Awesome, awesome. So really, the sooner the better to get you guys involved.
Yeah, the sooner the better, especially when you mentioned, the but for on some of our programs, and I will use that term a lot, and some people don't know what that means. So I'll repeat it again. This opportunity or this investment in Illinois would not happen but for, this tax credit program, or but for this grant program, because these are tax dollars. And so, the state wants to keep as many tax dollars that they can flowing through its economy. However, if we can give some of those up to gain a business who's going to create jobs, and then, and then that money is going to flow into our economy, we want to do that. And so we just want to do that when that's appropriate, and of course, just follow the guidelines. So.
Understood, most certainly. And I think this one to go to both you and Dawn, since these are government programs or government funded and in various agencies, does that mean that all my information becomes public? So ladies first, Kayla, if you want to go first.
Sure. So on some programs, limited information is public. Like, for instance, if you you're approved for an edge tax credit, your agreement will be published on DCEO's website. However, it does not, it is redacted. And so it doesn't give all of the information, but it is published that you did receive an incentive from the state. But confidential information, proprietary information is not disclosed. So if a company is, specifically concerned about what information is made public, I would recommend that we have a conversation about that. And then I'll, ask that of my FOIA officer or Freedom of Information Act officer to get a determination.
Sounds
Courtney,
reasonable.
I'll step in for just a second here.
Yes,
too.
sir.
If you're referring to anything specific, we, for instance, had a lot of questions raised about the Downstate Small Business Stabilization Grant, because it was a grant process pretty much identical to the way the state does all those grant programs.
Yes.
And that information technically was available to the public, but it wasn't publicized as such. It's a completely different thing than, say, the Back to Business grant recipients, where those lists are out there and often even a newspaper may be picking them up and publishing them. But that was an area of concern that was raised, up here with some of the people that we talked to. They didn't want to be providing, financial information for their businesses and stuff because they thought it would be public knowledge. And technically it was, but you would have to know to dig for it and go ask for it in order to find it.
Now, how about information that is provided to the SBDC?
No, we, there's stuff that goes out, like the metrics and things, that's aggregated information, but not client specific information. The only time it becomes a little bit of an issue is, say, with one of our municipalities that has their own incentive programs or something. Those are public dollars, so participants in those programs is public information, but our specific dealings with them is still strictly confidential.
Awesome. And you noted the grant program, which was a very interesting, the Downstate Business Stabilization Program. If somebody does receive a grant, do we have to pay taxes on that grant?
It depends. And Kayla may have more information, but some of the grants were taxable, like the Back to Business grant, the big grants, those are all considered as income, but some of the others are not. And for instance, the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, which was technically a loan, but almost everybody had it turned into a grant because they met the requirements for having the debt absolved. That was not taxable. And so it depends. I'm not sure entirely what it depends on, but I know different sources of funding have different sort of tax situations associated with them.
Awesome. Hey, Kayla, any additional comments towards that potential tax liability?
No, I would agree, that it does depend. And it brought me, back to something else. Whenever I talked about the CDBG grant, that is not not as easy as apply to the department, and a business could receive that grant. That's actually in partnership with the local municipality, or whether it's be a county or a city. And so you actually work with the county or city on that grant program. They get the money and they give it to the business. So in that case, I just bring that up because we were talking about taxes. You wouldn't get say a document from us saying that we gave you this much in grant funding. It does go to the municipality. So it may be up to the municipality if they were to send you something, or if you had to pay taxes on that grant. So again, I would just say that it depends on the program.
Mm-hmm. Well, certainly. Just a few more questions. Dawn, with the SBDC, are there ties to the SBA? Do you work with people for SBA loans?
Oh, we work with them quite a bit, but we're usually we spend less time working with the SBA than with the particular lenders. I always recommend that people go to SBA preferred lenders if they want to do that. There are banks that will kind of, shy away or not be that interested in doing SBA loans. And that just usually means they don't do a lot of them. They're not a preferred lender. Usually preferred lenders are ready to go. So we don't interact that much with the SBA, but we do have, for some other things, we interact with the Illinois SBA quite a bit. So Bo Steiner and his team up in Chicago are very good. And we also have an office in Springfield that we can work with. And they have, finance specialists that we can ask specific questions to about, financing programs.
And I see in the chat here that Kayla put her contact information in there, and we had one more question. Who do I contact in my community to find out about local programs? And on your screen here, most certainly are the frontline people to be able to contact. They're Angela Griffin and Coles Together, Laura Miner and Sullivan, Illinois Chamber and Economic Development, Risa Shaner in Crawford County, and Marsha Nora. And for Edgar County, Bob Colvin, or myself here in Effingham County. Definitely a good group of people, have a variety of professional backgrounds, be able to connect you with people such as Don or Kayla, and be able to get your questions answered. I believe that's all that we have for today. I'll check the chat right quick. And with that, I want to extend a very heartfelt thank you to both Don and Kayla. Thank you for educating us today. A lot of wonderful information. We'll most certainly send this all out to everybody. So if you registered today, you'll get an email with a link to the recording and to the supplementary materials. It will be up on our website at ilbusinessnavigators.com. And we hope that you continue to join us for this business webinar series for the first half of 2022. Next month is going to be on March 31st. They're always the last Thursday of the month. We're going to have a webinar on apprenticeships. It's going to be at 10:30. We're going to talk with Lakeland College and discuss their new opportunities, the new grant that they've recently been awarded for the Apprenticeship Navigator, what services there are. We're going to talk with a regional apprenticeship navigator, Lee Reese, on the western side of the state. He's going to go through Apprenticeship 101 to talk about, the idea or concept all the way to inception. We're going to talk with NAL on their experience with apprenticeships, and then discuss LIFT and the ERCA, which are new workforce development centers that are getting ready to go up in Mattoon and here in Effingham. So thank you for joining us today. We are a little over the hour. Hope that you found this very interesting and informational. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact us. If you hit the website, ilbusinessnavigators.com, there is a form where you can send us questions, send us emails, and we're here to help. Thank you, everybody, for attending today.